go again, and welcome back everyone to My Free Life and another episode of Cheap Tricks. Now, sadly enough, most people haven't a clue what to do in most emergency situations. Today, we're going to focus on power outages and how to create a light source and perhaps a life-saving minimal heat source in such events like cold weather power outages, combined with impassable roadways such as torrential snowfall or ice. One might catch themselves in a very crucial situation. With no way to retreat to a safe place via mobilization, what are your options? If you're not the type to have flashlights, batteries, candles, things like that on hand, the good news is you most likely have everything you need right at home to comfort your distress without even knowing it. So, there are many ways to create candles, but today I'm going to show you how to make a super fast, super easy oil lamp. The reason I'm choosing to demonstrate this technique rather than a candle is because this oil lamp will burn much longer, much brighter, and produce much more heat than a candle. Although, I will show you that as well. But right now, let's go for the most useful trick.
Kitchen for a container. That ought to do it. Little cooking oil. That ought to do it. Junk drawer for a piece of wire. That ought to do it. Old shoe for the shoestring. That ought to do it. Tool shelf for something to punch a hole. That ought to do it. A hammer. There you have it. Here we go. Most people have all of this stuff in their home. So, let's show how we can go ahead and create light and a minimal heat source. First off, let's punch a hole in this lid. Moving on. Now let's get ourselves a shoelace. Make sure it's a white shoelace, cotton. You don't want anything dyed because then you'll be burning the dye. So to get started here on this really easy trick is I'm going to take my shoestring, white because I don't want any dye in it. And this is cotton. It doesn't have to be a shoestring. It can be a cotton shirt, anything like that. Just any cotton be pretty good for you. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these plastic tips off of there because clearly we don't want to be burning that. Next thing we want to do is we want to take a little piece of wire. Now this can be an old cheap Dollar General clothes hanger or whatever, just a thin piece of wire, something that can bend and move pretty easily. And what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it around the piece of cotton to help hold its stature. Now after you've got your cotton wrapped in wire to create the wick, now we are going to spin it around inside of that. The reason why we're making it so much longer than the jar is because the oil, as it burns, you will eventually need to trim the wick as it burns. So now we're going to wrap this wick down in that jar and put it up through the hole of this lid. The wire will help it stay straight up, and that cotton will absorb all the oil in it and will become the wick for this very easy oil lamp. So let's put that wick down in the jar. Now we're simply just going to trim the wick down.
Now we've given it some time for that oil to absorb up in the wick. Let's go ahead and light it.
And there it is. Super cheap, super easy, most likely materials you have at home. Oil lamp that'll last you several hours. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one.